Plain objects in Python, by default, don't know how to compare themselves to each other, but we can teach them how to do so by using the equality and comparison magic methods. So let's go ahead and open up the magic EQ underscore start file, and let's see how to do this. So once again, we have a book class defined with some attributes, and then a few variables that create some book objects. So B1 and B3 both contain the same information, right? But watch what happens when I try to compare them to each other. So I'm going to write print and then B1 double equals B3. Okay. Now, when I run this, you can see that the output is false, which is weird because all the attribute values are the same as each other, right? So the title is the same, the price is the same, the author is the same. The reason this happens is because Python doesn't do an attribute by attribute comparison on objects. It just compares two different instances to each other and sees that they are not the exact same object in memory, and therefore it says, oh, false, they're not equal to each other. So Python's flexibility gives us an easy, object-oriented way of addressing this problem. The magic method named EQ gets called on your object when it is compared to another object. So let's go ahead and implement that. I'm going to override the EQ method, and that takes my object as well as the object it's being compared to. So to see if two books are equal, we can just compare the attributes of each one. So I'm going to return if self.title is equal to value title and self.author is equal to the other object's author and the price is equal to the other object's price. Okay. We should also make sure that we throw an exception if we're past an object that's not a book to compare against. So let me just do that right now. So I'm going to say if not is instance, and I'm going to take the value that we were passed and compare it to the book class. And if it's not, I'm going to raise a value error that says can't compare book to a non-book. All right. So now we have that code in place. We can perform the comparison again. And let's add one that we also know is false. So we'll print B1 is equal to B2. And those attributes are different. So the first one should be true and the second one should be false. So let's go ahead and run. All right, sure enough, we have true and we have false. So what we've essentially done is add the equality check behavior to our book object. And if I try to compare a book to something else, if I say print B1 is equal to, 42, let's run that. And you can see that I'm raising a value error here because I can't compare a book to something that's not a book. All right, so we can also perform other kinds of comparisons by overriding the corresponding magic method. So let's add the ability to perform comparisons to our book class. Suppose we wanted to be able to perform a greater than or equal to operation like this. We want to be able to say B2 is greater than or equal to B1. Okay. Or suppose we wanted to be able to do a less than comparison. Suppose we wanted to be able to say, hey, is B2 less than B1? So there are magic methods that correspond to all the different kinds of logical operators, right? Greater than, less than, greater than or equal to, so on. Now that's a lot of methods, so I'm not going to demonstrate all of them, but let's go ahead and add support for both of these. So I'll scroll back up and I'll override the greater than or equal to function, and that takes my object and the comparison one. And then once again, we'll just copy to make sure that we're comparing to a book. And what we'll do here is we'll just return self.price is greater than or equal to value.price. So we'll just do a comparison based upon price alone. And then let's do the same thing for less than. So I'll just go ahead and copy this code and paste it in down here. Change this to LT. And then once again, I'll change this operator to less than. Okay, so now let's run that code and let's comment out our prior example for the equality check. So I'm going to run this. All right, and we can see that B2's price is $29.95, and that is not greater than B1's price, which is $39.95. So that evaluates to false. And B2 is less than B1 based upon price. So now we have the ability to do comparisons of book objects. And what's really neat about this is that now that we have added the less than support, we automatically gain the ability to have our books be sortable. So let's go back to the code and let's make a quick list of our books in some random order that we know is not sorted. All right. So the built-in sort function uses the less than operator to perform sorting. So now we can do this. We can write books.sort, and then I can print out each book title in the newly sorted list. And I'll use a comprehension for this. So I'll print book.title for book in books. All right, so let's go ahead and comment that out. And now when I run this code, we can see that the books are now all sorted in order from low to high based on price. And like I said, there are a lot of these methods you can implement in your base classes, and they're documented in Python's data model. And that's this right here. So the documentation for the data model contains all of these methods. If you just go ahead and click on the special method names heading over here, if you scroll down, you'll see a lot of these special magic method names. These are all the comparison ones right here. So just go ahead and click on that special names link in the sidebar, and you can read through these at your own pace.